In this video, I'm going to show you how to register for class, starting from how do you know what classes you need to register for to reserving your seat in the class. But before we do that, I have a series of questions that I want to ask you. You can either write down your answers or think about them, but having the answers to these questions will make selecting a class a lot easier. So the first one is, when are you available to take classes? Some of you may drop off your children at school and can't pick certain classes, or you might have work obligations that limit your schedule. If you are free anytime, when do you prefer to take classes? Are you a morning person? Do you like night classes? Second question is, what classes do you need to take as part of your program of study? I'm going to show you in a little bit how you know that, but if you already do or you've already talked to your success coach about that, write those down too. 3, what format do you prefer or need your classes? Do you like online classes, or do you need to be on campus with an instructor? Number 4, what classes do you want to take? Let's say, for example, you really love math, so you know you want to take that class next semester. That's definitely something to take note of. And then last but not least, when are classes available, or what classes are available? Even if you want to take, let's say, for example, a higher level psychology course, if it's not being offered, then we will have to schedule it for another semester. So take a moment, write down your answers to these questions, and then I'll meet you on the next slide. Another thing to think about before you're registering for classes is that it's really important to be flexible when picking your classes, as availability will change and some classes won't work with your schedule. For example, if you register closer to the beginning of when classes start, your first choice may not be available. So it's important to have some backup options so that even if the class that you want is full, you have some other options to pick. Bunker Hill has a lot of course offerings, but we can't offer every class at every time. So it's important to not only answer those questions on the last slide, but also be flexible about your answers to accommodate what is available. Now, with that being said, in order to register for class, we start with self-service. We do have a video on our playlist that highlights the overview of self-service, so you can feel free to watch that. But to register for your classes, we're really going to be in this student planning tab that I've highlighted here. So go ahead, log into your self-service and click student planning. On the next slide, you'll see that student planning is broken down into 2 parts. The first one is My Progress, which will show you the classes you need in order to graduate with your degree. The second tab on the right-hand side is called Plan and Schedule. This is actually where you will see your classes as well as be able to register for them. So for right now, I'm going to have you go to My Progress so we can start picking those classes. Now, everyone's My Progress looks a little different depending on what your program of study is, but all associate degree programs have this section right here called General Education Requirements. We do have a video highlighting how each general education requirement works, so feel free to watch that. But you'll see right here that each student who is in an associate degree program does need to take English 111, English 112, and a math along with other requirements. So this actually might be a really great place to start to pick your classes. And you'll notice that these are active links that will help you look for the class. So for example, if you know next semester you would like to take English 111, you can simply click on this link. Another way to look for this class is actually to use the search bar in this upper right-hand corner. And you can type in the code for the class, and it'll also bring that up. This is particularly useful for classes that don't necessarily count towards your program of study. For example, we're going to be looking at Math 097, which is a developmental math course that is not on your programs of study, I should say, but will help you be successful in those college level math classes. If you have questions about what classes you can take or if there are classes off your program of study, please contact your success coach and we're happy to make that plan with you. But for now, know that you can either click a link on your My Progress page or you can use this search bar in the upper right-hand corner. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a screenshot of looking for the Math 097 class, so MAT 097. And so if I were to type that in the search bar, like I mentioned before, this is what would show up. You can use the filters on the left-hand side to filter for your desired outcomes, those questions, the answers to those questions I asked you in the first slide. So you obviously will want to pick the semester that you are in, that you want to take those classes, as well as open sections only to see classes that do have seats. Once you click those two filters, you can always filter for other desired classes if you want to take a class only on Tuesday, Thursday, or for a certain instructor or location. And once you have all those options, you're going to click this gray bar right here to see what is available for you. Sometimes if you put too many filters on, it may filter out all the class options, and that's when you would go back to your other options for classes like I mentioned earlier. So there are going to be two ways to add a class once you get to this page. I'm going to show you the first way right here. And that's going to be to use this Add Section to Schedule button. So I'm going to show you on a live self-service account right now. So give me one moment. So you'll see right here, I've typed in MAT 097. And I'm going to filter for a semester that I want to take this class in, as well as open sections only. I don't have any other preferences, so I'm just going to leave those unchecked. But I'll click this gray bar right here, and you'll see that several sections will come up. I'm not a morning person, so I'm going to pick a later time, but you'll see right here the times are listed under this section. So this class happens on Monday, Wednesday, 10:10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And that actually works perfectly for my schedule that I want. So what I'm going to do is pick the 04 section and click Add Section to Schedule, like I mentioned earlier. This pop-up will show up with more details about the course. And this is on the Charlestown campus, which is something that I prefer, as well as the professor. So I'll go ahead and click Add Section. Once this spins around for a little bit, you'll see a green checkbox will show up on the top right corner. And I'm going to go to the Plan and Schedule page that I mentioned earlier to see the class and register. So to do that, there's an Academics tab on the left-hand side, and under Student Planning, there's Plan and Schedule. So I'll go ahead and click that. And I'm going to use these left and right arrows, to navigate to the semester that I'm interested in. And you'll see right there, MAT 097, Section 4. And it fits perfectly with the psychology class that I've registered. So that's one way to add a class to your schedule. This is another way that you can add a class to your schedule. So you'll see right here on the same exact page, there is a white Add Course to Plan button right next to the course name. This will actually add a course and allow you to view the sections on your plan and schedule. For those of you who are visual learners, this might be an easier way, but there's no wrong way to add a class, so pick the way that you prefer. So if I click this white Add Course to Plan button, this pop-up will show up, and I will select the term in which I would like to take this class and click Add Course to Plan. After I do so, it will show up on my plan and schedule just like the other class did, but you'll notice that no time is selected. So make sure you are in the correct semester using these arrows to navigate. And you can click this link right here, View Other Sections, to look at the times that are available. And you'll see right here, if you click the Filter Sections button up at the top, that you can also do the same exact filters that I showed you earlier on the other page. And you'll be able to navigate the different sections on the left-hand side here. But like I said, this is a very visual way to add the classes to your schedule. You'll see them populate as light gray boxes on the right-hand side. And you'll notice that for certain classes, there's more than one page of classes. So for this class, ECE 103 on the left-hand side, there's only one page, so there are not that many options. But on the right-hand side, English 111, you'll see that there are 19 pages of classes. So make sure that you use the arrows to navigate all the classes to find the best fit for you and your schedule. You'll notice that the morning classes are going to be on the first few pages, whereas the night and online options are always towards the end. And once you select a section, all you have to do is click that section and this pop-up will show up just like before. And all you have to do is click Add Section. And no matter which way that you chose to add a class, these next steps apply to both and are how you register for a class. One thing to note is that when you add a class to your schedule, you may or may not see a yellow error box on your schedule. If you do see this, that means you have not met the prerequisites, and you will have to pick either the prerequisites for this class or another class to register for at that time. For example, for English 111, if we are required to take English 095 and have not taken it yet, this yellow box would show up on your screen when you add the class to your schedule. If you think this is an error, please contact your advisor as soon as possible. And now that you've added a class to your schedule, you will find the blue Register button on the left-hand side. And this is the button that you click to register. It's important to note that you'll see different categories of classes on this right-hand side here that will say planned, enrolled, and waitlisted. Under planned, that simply is a plan. It does not mean that it is on your schedule or you have a seat in the class. So very important to note this and make sure that you are in the number of credits that you want to be in. So after you click register, how do you know if you're registered? Not only can you look at the number that I was showing you earlier, but you'll also see that there are some changes to these classes. For example, you'll see that the brown planned tab has turned into registered but not started. You'll also see the register button has now turned into a drop button. It's also important to note that if you see that this red error box that says this section is full, if you are in the class, you are still going to have the green registered tab on your screen. And that button will still be a drop button. It just means that this class is now full and you probably took the last seat in the class. However, if it says planned and it says this section is full, it's very likely that this button will be a wait list. So be very mindful of the status of your class, especially when it says something like this section is full. And again, the color and the status of each class are going to indicate different things. So as I mentioned before, planned is yellow, green is registered, and red means the class is full or it conflicts with another class and you are not allowed to register for it. For example, you'll see right here compared to our last slide, it says this section is full, but I'm not allowed to register for it because this says planned and not registered. It's very important to make that distinction. Don't forget that you'll also need to pay for class. Registration is a two-step process. So if you have any questions about this process or paying, there are other videos in this playlist that can help you with that, or you can reach out to your success coach.